Emergency, emergency, emergency. This is a break of our regularly broadcast program. Elizabeth Smart has been captured. This is the young lady who was held in captivity for over 14 months and sexually harassed. Tonight's regularly scheduled program, Rosalyn Kahn, the teacher who was slandered in the college, has been postponed. They say success is 7% talent, 8% luck, and 82% showing up. Toastmasters and most welcome guest. I've been teaching in the college for a really long time, and a unique opportunity came to teach something other than public speaking. I got to teach a class called small group communication. And here's how I start my class. I have my students fill out a piece of paper. It says your name, your identity, any information I need to know, your hobbies, your interests. And one student, John Smith, has responded that he was bipolar and not on his medications. Interesting. We'll come back to that one. And then I tell my students on day one, there's 2 things you need to know. Number 1, show up on time. Number 2, turn your work in on time. Now, this person, John Smith, comes up to me one day and he decides to ask me a question. He says, "Hey, Prof, would you mind helping me out on my political club? The name of the club is XYZ. And I said, "Sure, why not? We might have different politics, but no problem at all." Well, my students tended to have a problem on those 2 basic rules, showing up on time and turning their work in on time. And I had 18 students in the class. And can you imagine 15 of them could get it done right? But there were 3 of them, including John Smith, who couldn't. And so I said, what can I do to get them to I got it. I know what I'll do. At the time, there was this weapons of mass destruction that President George Bush had, and I figured they could just simply write him a quick little note and let him know their opinions. Well, does George Bush have the time to handwrite each student a letter? Of course not. He's a busy man. Well, these 3 students decide rather than turn their stuff in on time, they were going to attack the professor. When we say attack, you say, what? Well, before the word viral came to be, there was every TV, radio station, every news commodity that you could hear was following me, getting my name out. My house was like a newsroom with the phone ringing off the hook. My husband had to field the calls. Even Connie Chung called. Well, I told you Connie Chung was interrupted that night, but we'll have to hear more about that. So they yanked me out of the classroom. They pulled me in and they said, "Are you doing those political activities at our school here too?" And I said, "No, we have a gentleman who comes all the way from Camp Pendleton down in San Diego. And he drives up here to Pasadena City College. And then next, he comes to my school here at Pasadena City College." I am so proud of that student that he sends our students off to war. I couldn't be prouder. Well, you better make sure you're not doing those things at our school, Rosalyn. It's not politics. It's simply showing up on time. That's all it's all about. Second school, LA City College, they call me in and they say, "Rosalyn, we got to play this recording for you." And you hear this voice. "Hi, my name is Joe Schmaldi, and I'm coming from the deep south of South Carolina, and you got a crazy, wild teacher who's bringing up politics in the classroom. How could you allow such a thing? You should fire her. Get her out of there. Get her out of there. Get her out of there." And they turned to me and they said, "Your classroom is our castle. You don't have to worry about a darn thing." And then I had an attorney, and my attorney told me there were 2 things I couldn't do. I couldn't talk to my students and tell them what was going on. And number 2, I couldn't do interviews. Well, Connie Chung, she was an exception. So one day I'm at the high school down in Inglewood, and the kids were wild. They were crazy. I mean, you heard this commercial everywhere. Every day you heard something about it. And I got in, and they were just outrageous. I didn't know what had come over them. And I get to my car, and you know what? It was one of those damn radio things saying, Rosalyn Kahn, slander teacher, politics in the classroom. Oh my God, when can I get, it was like pulling my hair out of my head. And then it was in the court, and out of the court, and in the court, and out of the court, and in. And finally, one day they reached a decision, and they tossed me out to mediation. And so I walk into my mediator's room, and he says, tell me, Rosalyn, how was it like for you teaching the college? And I began, my name is Rosalyn, and I love my students more than anything else in the whole world. I only ask two things. Just show up on time and turn your works in on time. And there were 18 students of the class who, were just beautiful, but 3 of them decided rather than turn it in on time, they would execute by calling an organization called FIRE, the Institution of the Rights of Education, that goes after crazy teachers, and send them after me. But it wasn't politics, it was being on time. My attorney asked, is there any other questions you'd like to answer? And he said, no. And so we walked down the hallway, and my attorney looked at me and he said, you are by far the best storyteller I've ever heard. It was a waiting game next. Is that letter ever going to come? Days, weeks, not months, but all of a sudden I saw a letter in the mail, and I was really surprised, and I went to go ahead and open it up. My God, I can't believe this. My name is cleared. I'm clear. I'm free. There was only one condition. I couldn't go on social media and say my name had been cleared. I couldn't take out a letter in the Los Angeles Times and say my name was cleared. But you know what? In that year, I got more interviews than I ever got in my entire life. I guess they don't watch TV. College professors, they've got too much time, and administrators, they can't watch that TV. Who's got time for that? But you know what? There's a really important lesson here, a really important lesson. And I want to share it all with each and every one of you. Life gets you down sometimes. People call you bad names. They slander your reputation. They say things that are absolutely not true. And what you need to do is you need to stand up straight. And remember, life is not a bowl of cherries. You got to take what life goes ahead and throws you. And what's amazing is it was 20 years after that day. I was teaching in the college at LA City College, and there was an award that they gave me. And the award was for the best teacher at Los Angeles City College. Can you imagine that? Finally redeemed. Forget that Connie Chung interruption. Forget that Elizabeth Smart. I'm living in a land of triumph being the best teacher at Los Angeles City College. Madam Toastmaster.